Hi everyone, this is Autopostrophe. Let's continue a game of Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York on Nintendo Switch. As you make your way up the stairs, notice that D'Angelo's office is surprisingly quiet. You were half expecting something akin to a scene from The Exorcist, with Sana belching out curses and your companion sprinkling her with, well, whatever it is vampires use for holy water. What you witness instead as you open the door is the picture of serenity. The girl, although still curled up in the corner, is sitting calmly, with her eyes fixed on the pages of some pulpy detective novel. She doesn't even register your presence. Sitting behind his desk, D'Angelo seems to be looking over some files. Puffing on his usual brand of cigar, seeing no trace of Larson, you assume he must have gone back to his family. Noticing your presence, the vampire detective leans back in his chair and gives you a tired look. Hey there, kid. Glad you could make it. Is she reading? I'm surprised she's actually able to focus on a book. She's not dumb, just really fucking scattered. Figured I'd give her something to focus on. Seems to be working. Calming her down, at the very least. As to how much he actually is getting out of the riveting narrative, your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, I've been going over the case files, mulling over our options. Surprise, surprise, they all suck donkey dick. No matter how I go about this, someone gets fucked over. Her, Larson, us. Okay, then lay it on me. What options do we have? Okay, let's polish this turd. Here's how I see it. 1. We grab Sana and take her to Elysium and make a case for her to Prince Panhard. 2. We get Valerie to back off by feeding her the dirt I got on Larson. 3. We're trying to get Sana out of the city. Come on, kid. I can hear them thoughts bounce around in your head over from here. Out with it. You want to bring Sana to Elysium? Isn't that pretty much a death sentence? Pretty much, but not quite. If we can get an audience with Panhard, we might be able to convince her to spare Sana's life. The prince isn't as much of a hard-ass as some would like her to be. She'd probably rather avoid further alienating the Dustborn community. And that said, if we run into Kadir, we're as good as fucked. What kind of dirt do you have on Larson anyway? Must be some serious shit. Oh, it is. A few years back, the Second Inquisition led a coordinated assault on New York Kindred. Operation Lights Out, they called it. Nasty fucking business that was. A lot of good vampires died. Some of them I knew personally. Larson was one of the Inquisition's first targets, but when they got to him, he managed to convince them to spare his life. In exchange, he fed them info on a few Camarilla members, one Nicky the Chop. Suffice to say, Nicky didn't make it through the night. Okay, time's wasting. What do you think we should do? Way to pass the buck. You know I can't make that call. Look, kid, I've been at it all day, mulling it over. All I got for my troubles was a splitting headache. I just don't know anymore. All I'm asking for you is your honest opinion. Just pick one and make a case. Convince me it's the right thing to do, or at least the wrong. Or the least wrong, at least. So, one more time. Bring the girl to Elysium, trade her life for Larson, or sneak her out of town. Which one would you go with? Well, getting her out of the city, that ruins my trust with, what's her face? Elysium. Bringing her to Elysium seems like the most reasonable thing to do. And the cruelest, or at the very least the most risky. If we can't convince Panhard to give Sana a shot, the girl's as good as dead. Then we better be extra convincing. So be it. Fuck. Do me a favor, kid. Watch her for a few minutes, okay? I gotta make some arrangements, make a few calls. He catches himself, looks at you with an expression of the phoniest of phony guilt. But not like with a phone or anything, because, that would make me a naughty boy, which I'm clearly not. He walks out of the office. Through the frosted windows, you see him instantly go for his clamshell phone. Screw it, does it really make a difference at this point? You turn to the girl who still has her nose in the book. So is the book any good? Why don't you go for this sort of stuff? It just leaves me cold. She looks up from the book with her eyes glazed over. Cold. A shiver runs down your spine. You decide it's best to leave her to her reading and spend the next few minutes in complete silence. Finally, D'Angelo staggers back into the room. All right, I called a friend of mine who works at the art hole. She says the prince is there right now, in her private quarters. We'll just have to figure out a way to get an audience. He walks over to Sana and crouches beside her. Speaking softly, he takes the book out of her hands and gently strokes her head. Hey, darling, I need you to listen very carefully. We're going to go on a little trip, okay? You need to stay quiet and stay close to me. Can you do that? Stay close to D'Angelo? She squints, trying her best to concentrate. D'Angelo. Close enough. Something akin to a smile creeps onto her face. It's as close to happy as you've seen her. Gift, not hurt. D'Angelo returns her smile. You're welcome. He turns to you, putting his serious face back on. He nods. Looks like it's time. Looks like it's go time. The art home welcomes you with its usual weirdness and grotesqueness masquerading as contemporary art. Right now, however, art is the last thing on your mind. As the three of you make your way through the crowd of usual suspects, D'Angelo gestures toward a lone figure standing in the corner. To your surprise, it turns out to be Sophie. As you approach, he raises an eyebrow, taking an especially long look at Sana. And here I thought nothing in this world could surprise me any more. Mind telling me what it is you're doing here? D'Angelo nods courteously. We're here to see Prince Panhard. I suppose you could help us get an audience. I think you're confusing me with Prince Harold, an honest mistake in this lighting. Still, I'm afraid you're out of luck. From what I've heard, the prince is not accepting visitors. She'd be grateful for letting us in. No. I owe you one? I already owe her everything. Please, as a matter of utmost importance. I'm sure she'd make an exception for someone of your status. Appealing to my vanity, although appreciated, won't work this time. Like I said, the prince doesn't wish to be disturbed. Suddenly, you hear a voice from behind you. It's the last voice you could possibly want to hear right now. Maybe I can help. You look over to D'Angelo. He seems frozen in place, not able to move a single muscle. This is bad, very bad. Keeping things casual, Kadir tips an imaginary hat in your general direction. When he looks at Sana, you notice his expression sour, if ever so slightly. Perhaps this is a conversation best held in private. Follow me. Before leaving, he nods at Sophie. Langley. Kadir. Again, you glance over to D'Angelo, but he doesn't even acknowledge you. He seems to be in a state of deeply internalized panic. Not seeing any way out of the situation, you follow Kadir into a small backstage area. There, he stops and addresses you once more. It's good to see you, D'Angelo. It's been a while since you last showed your face around here. I see you've brought friends. So how about we skip the unnecessary drama and you two leave without incident, while I take care of our thin-blood guest. You don't have to do this. She can still be helped. Maybe, maybe not. But that ship sailed a long time ago. It ends tonight, with me. It doesn't have to be this way. Let us talk to Panhard. That's Prince Panhard to you, D'Angelo. And no, your harebrained scheme isn't going to work. What exactly did you think was going to happen? You bring the Dustborn with a blood hunt on her head to my doorstep and... What? Hope that the prince stays my cruel hand? Honestly, I thought you were smarter than that. What? I promise to make it quick, painless. That's as much as you'll get, so don't push it. And with that, he turns to Sana. His expression grows softer, almost kind. He then grabs her by the hand gently. There's not even an inkling of violence in his demeanor. Come, my child. You have been very brave. The pain is almost over. Pain over. With blissful ignorance, she looks at you and D'Angelo as the sheriff walks her out of the room. Your companion looks broken, as if something inside him just snapped. Without even looking at you, he utters under his breath. I killed her. You gave it your all. Sometimes shit just happens, and there's nothing you can do. Nice catchphrase, kid. You should have printed it on a t-shirt. A moment of awkward silence ensues. I really thought I could save her, you know? Not really knowing what to say, you lift your hand to pat him on the back. You stop yourself in mid-motion. Somehow it doesn't seem like the thing to do. You leave the art gallery and head back to Red Hook. On your way, you keep thinking about Sana and whether now is the exact moment Kadir brings her final death. It's not a pleasant journey. Slowly, clumsily, you make your way back to the grain terminal. No words are spoken, no bad jokes made, no monologues muttered, and no smiles exchanged. There's only silence and vacant stares. As you head up the stairs to D'Angelo's office, you can feel the tension rising. You can tell the moldy sleuth has reached a breaking point. He walks into his office and leans against his cluttered desk. You figure now is as good a time as any to break the silence. Look, no tonight's been rough, but you can't let it get to you. The moment you finish your sentence, the angel leans over and sweeps all of his stuff off the desk. Notepads, bits of paper, and what looks like a cheap imitation of an antique lamp. It all comes crashing to the floor. It doesn't stop there, as he grabs a heavy file cabinet and knocks it over. Slowly but surely, the once quiet office turns into a heap of crumpled paper and broken furniture. The tantrum lasts for mere seconds, but as you stand there watching, it feels like forever. Finally, D'Angelo stops, looks up at the ceiling. It's hard to tell if he's had enough or simply run out of stuff to throw around. As he stands there, slowly regaining composure, one of the objects scattered on the floor catches your eye. It's a small paperback novel, the same you saw Sana reading earlier tonight. It must have landed where D'Angelo was giving the room a royal thrashing. You pick it up. In huge letters, the title on the cover spells, The Longest Night and Other Stories. The smaller caption underneath reads, Another collection of stories from the Gianni D'Angelo saga. What in the actual fuck? You flip it over and are immediately drawn to the picture on the back cover. If not for a lack of flaky skin and distorted features, you'd say the guy looks very familiar. The name next to the picture, Reginald Finch. You stand there not even knowing where to start. Even in his current state, D'Angelo, or whatever his name is, remains one step ahead of you. Yeah, that's me in the picture. Reggie fucking Finch. Haven't seen him in a while. Wasn't planning to. You named yourself after one of your characters? Afraid it's more than that. I sort of became him. See, Reggie Finch was a pushover, a small-time journalist and a wannabe writer. He would never survive out there among the coteries of New York. Gianna D'Angelo, on the other hand. Honestly, it's just sort of happened. I guess it was the only way I could make sense of it all. I mean, once you wake up looking like this, realizing your life and all that you were is gone forever, you can't really blame me for trying at least to make it interesting. I guess to some extent we all put an act in front of others. We make up characters, idealized versions of ourselves. That gives us something to live up to. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still weird, but it's not that weird. D'Angelo. For a moment, he seems to be mulling over what you just told him. Finally, he picks the ashtray up off the floor. Rummaging through the ashes, he finds a mangled, half-finished cigar. He sticks it in his mouth and lights up. The lighter's flame reflecting in his shades. He smiles at you, ever so slightly. Thanks, kid. Tell you what, how about you take the rest of the night off? Need some time to get my shit in order. Starting with this office. Some dumb assholes made one hell of a mess of it. You smile and nod. He nods back. I'll be seeing you. And so you leave him to his thoughts. No way to be sure, but you have a feeling. He's gonna be alright. I guess we have to look at all these characters? I thought we only picked 2 of them, but looks like we have an opportunity to do more. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. What you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices to homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. Vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East-tinged music seeping through the cracking speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. And then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of the night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open with just a few inches. The tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor, as the tacky new age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong, too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Eric, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your questions, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Might I understand this is a social visit? High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs? It's quite a mouthful. It might sound fancy, but that's because there's a well-established tradition behind it. One you'd be wise not to ridicule. Some might take offense. Me, for one. What is it that you're here for? Heard some good things about Agathon. Thought I'd drop in and see how much of it was true. Appealing to our vanity. How very original. You better step up your game, fledgling, or New York will eat you right up. Suddenly, a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Let me introduce myself. My name's Eric. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like yourself could teach me a lot, I imagine. You're not wrong. He turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? Aisling looked at you with nary a sign of emotion. I believe they have far more pressing matters to attend to at the moment, my child. That is my intuition as well, High Regent. It's settled, then. I would kindly ask that you leave, fledgling. We have many matters to discuss. Matters not meant for undiscerning ears. Both of the warlocks look at you expectantly. Well, apologies for any inconvenience I may have caused you. Good luck with your work. You make your way downstairs. As you pass the blonde, who now seems to be napping behind her desk, Agathon reappears behind you. Wait, come back up for a minute. Somewhat confused, you follow him back to the workshop. Aisling is leaning against the wall, watching you both with a keen eye. Listen, I tend to work alone. I'm not used to socializing, but... He hesitates for a while. When he speaks again, it somewhat comes out as a mumble. I could use some help. Tonight. Would you be interested in teaming up? Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there's anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. And the missing kindred. Who is she? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer. At least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Sure, I'll join you. Very well. He gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Eric, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return, and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind the wheel. Somehow you'd expected a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. You decide not to disturb his thoughts and are surprised that it's him who breaks the silence as you're about halfway over the East River. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple of hundred of us kindred in New York, yet you seek out me, that you seek me out specifically. Why? For one, Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet. You were on it. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep the attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points us to the front door. Go ahead. I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens, and you see that there are only a few guests left, sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week, if you wish. No, I think we can get in now. We're special clients, if you know what I mean. I don't think I do. Apologies, but it's company policy. No exceptions. Would you like to make a reservation? Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course. No problem. Please come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual, and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place. Very highbrow. Lots of old, expensive-looking furniture and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you chose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Whoever Juno is, it looks like she's no longer here. A flash of fury sparks in his eyes. Yeah, no kidding. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturb me. Understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool, and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up the way his flesh oozes the deep red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach-churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheathes the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all the more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expect something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but to refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Then suddenly, the door opens slightly and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before you can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently, 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks of the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a right at the Continental Army Plaza, back to onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough. So I'm guessing you found what you came for. Sort of. Enough to continue the search, at any rate. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his own thoughts. Hopelessly so. One of these nights you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows? If you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. Somebody's watching. Let's do that one. You're in your haven when the intercom rings. Answering cautiously, you hear an older male voice. Hello? I'm calling because a friend asked me to come by and offer you my services. Who's this friend? Better not talk about that on the intercom. Secrets are secrets. The man sounds strangely excited, breathing hard. You have the wrong address. No, wait. I know you're one of them. Please, it's all right. I don't mind. You can drink with me, if you understand what I mean. The man you've never seen before is paying a visit to an apartment not many people know of, offering for you to feed on from him. Let's continue this face-to-face. That's a wonderful idea. Silence. A minute passes and you hear a knock on the door to your haven. You cautiously open the door. A stranger looks at you sheepishly. He's in his 30s, dressed in a clean business suit. He looks moderately successful, someone you could meet at an investment bank. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want to intrude, so that's why I called from downstairs. You know what? Come on in. I was hungry anyway. The man looks comically satisfied as you usher him into your haven. He barely waits for you to close the door before he loosens his collar of his shirt, closes his eyes, and bares his neck in quivering expectation. You look at the man, taken aback by such forwardness. Figuring that you didn't invite the man here for a chat, you lean closer, take him by the shoulders, and sink your fangs into him. This is not an unpleasant way to feed, you reflect as the blood flows into your mouth. The food comes to your door of its own volition. The man moans as you drink from him, lost in the ecstasy of the kiss. It feels a little unseemly, but it would be churlish to begrudge him his pleasures. Taking care not to drink too much, you let go of the man after licking his wounds closed. Suddenly, you're startled by a surprising sight. A woman, not very old, strangely dressed, is looking at you intently, only an arm's length away. Before you can react, the mysterious woman opens your front door and vanishes from sight, leaving you to wonder whether you really saw her at all. As you stare confused, the man you drank from slips out of your haven and into the hallway, staggering a little from the effects of the kiss. You close your door, wondering what that was all about. At least you got to feed, if nothing else. Oh, sounds like I made the wrong decision, but no, well, it's okay. Sophie requests your presence tonight, and it seems urgent. You find her already waiting for you and clearly pondering something. It takes you minutes of awkward silence before she speaks. I require your assistance, Eric. There's a matter of great importance that I need to ask you to resolve for me. You will find what I'm about to say surprising, I'm sure, but I need you to hear me out. I need you to contact an important Anarch figure in New York City and arrange a meeting for us. Wait, I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to meet with Anarchs, or we're at war, right? The prince does look unfavorably at those who meet with the Anarchs, that much is true. You will find that with this, as with many other things, the Camarilla's policies have more than their share of hypocrisy inherent in them. It comes hand in hand with using medieval power structures. What we are forbidden to do, the prince may do willingly. Some of these things can be done in the open, while others are kept secret as to not invite discord and discontent. I need to contact a man named Torek. He is an influential member of the movement and, like most of them, very suspicious of the Camarilla. That's why I'm sending you to extend my invitation. How do you know he'll even talk to me? He won't. Not yet, anyway. You need to start further down the chain, and with the right story to spin. From my limited sources adjacent to the movement, I've gathered that your best chance to speak to Torek is to first meet with his right-hand woman, Mia. She's a regular at the club called the Leech Pit. I think it would be best if you presented yourself as an anarch hopeful, a fledgling looking for a place of belonging. Only after you talk to Torek directly should you mention my name at the meeting. Yeah, that makes sense. If I open with I'm with the Camarilla, they might cut me off. We can reveal our cards once I have his attention. My thoughts exactly. After tonight, I suggest that we do not speak of this again until you arrange the meeting. There are many who would jump at the chance to use this against us. With Kaiser, you have proven you can get the job done, even if it requires additional legwork. I trust you to deal with this as quickly as and covertly as possible. Forgive me, but that's all the time I can spare tonight. What I'm asking of you is just part of a bigger whole. Trust me, it'll all be worth it. Okay, I'll do my best. I know you will. Check with Gregory for the address of the Leech Pit. Have Mia introduce you to Torek. When she does, tell him I wish to meet. Tell him pick the time and place, but let it be soon. If he proves too guarded, tell him I have something that will help him gather allies against Boss Callahan. That should pique his interest. Good luck. And obviously, not a word about this to anyone else, not even any new friends you might have made in recent nights. This stays between us. The way she says that final sentence suggests a not-so-veiled threat, but her warm smile belies that impression. You want her to keep trusting you. You don't want to disappoint her. Gregory gives you the address. The club is in Brooklyn. Apparently it's some kind of heavy metal bar with a dedicated concert space. Time to pay this Mia a visit. The place is teeming with people tonight. You arrive in the middle of a concert. The music is loud, almost deafening, and it takes you a while to get used to it. You recognize a phrase or two of the lyrics and realize that you know the song they're playing. A poster confirms your suspicion. It's a Life of Agony tribute band, and they're not a half bad. A group of a few dozen patrons are tightly packed together, with the smell of their sweat and youthful, excited blood overwhelms you momentarily. It's with some difficulty that you turn to the task at hand. You've heard your share about the Anarchs and how they fit into Kindred politics, but you only have your short encounter in Corona Park on which to base your actual opinion of the faction. That might have been just a horrible first impression, but you're keeping your guard up just in case. You take a walk around the club. There are a few side rooms and a spacious bar area. You listen in on the conversations taking place with voices hoarse from shouting, walking in on a particularly sloppy threesome in the bathroom, and eventually hit the dance floor for a better feel of the place. As the concert comes to an end, you witness one of the guests, a feisty-looking girl, get into a scuffle with a much larger drunk guy. She doesn't seem to appreciate him reaching around her waist, slapping him with an audible crack that sends him to the ground unconscious. Two bouncers break up the crowd and pick up the drunk to carry him outside, without so much as questioning the woman. You get an inkling that she might be who you were hoping to find. You approach her as she's about to leave. Yeah, the fuck do you want? She's still seething and bares her teeth for just a moment, but you've learned what to look for in Kindred. You're pretty sure she's wanting you. I'm interested in learning a bit about anarchy. You wouldn't have to have some first-hand experience, would you? Seriously? That's the best line you can come up with? She doesn't smile, but she doesn't hit you either. Follow me behind the bar. She leads you through the bar to a back door that leads into a side room. Indie metal band posters are plastered on every wall, some of them 20 or more years old, judging from the tour dates. An old sticky table and some rickety chairs are the only pieces of furniture here. Sit down. Sure. You take a seat as the woman leans against one of the walls. The name's Mia. I'm guessing your visit here isn't a happy coincidence. I don't know you, so you're either in New York or kept an outstandingly low profile. Both sound suspect, so before we take these pleasantries further, answer me this. Who do you run with? I'm independent. I don't bow to anyone. Isn't that adorable? Listen, fledgling, you don't get to be this fresh in the game and not pick a side. Those Second Inquisition fucks are all too happy to pick on delusional kids like you. So are the Cams. They offer you rewards aplenty for your servitude, but never actually deliver. Fortunately for you, there's another option. But before I get to that, let's get one thing out of the way. She leans in. If this is some clever ploy to oust me from my domain, or if you're just here to spy on me and the movement, I'll make sure that you don't enjoy underneath or undeath much longer. Got it? You can tell it's a purely rhetorical question. Right, here's the pitch. The Camarilla likes to think that they're the vanilla option, what with Prince Bitch Panhard pretending that they were always in charge. But New York has never been a fully Cammy city. They might have won the city in '99, but Cams have had their asses handed to them many times over the years, and the movement has been here for at least as long as they have. Hell, I moved to New York City before World War II, and that was a good while after I saw the Camarilla for what they were, a way to keep us all subservient and in line. The Ivory Tower will tell you they're the only safeguard for the traditions, and that's kind of the problem. There's only one tradition we in the movement feel should be respected, the masquerade, obviously. Everything else? That's the Prince, and she'll tell you it's the logical continuation of the masquerade. Really, it's just a way to keep the elders powerful and in control. She grimaces. But here's the thing. For all the talk of us bloodsuckers being solitary creatures, we need a community to keep up the masquerade. Community, yes, but authority? Not so much. We need a council of peers to keep the assholes and power-drunk fledglings in check, but not a feudal prince to tell you where to feed or who to hunt down when they step on her toes. She takes a brief break from her indignant rant. That sounds too good to be true. Mia bares her teeth in a predatory smile. You better believe it. Sure, we still have to struggle with the urges of our kind, but it's safer and more fair. We're as free as our condition permits, but unlike Atarkus, we don't stand alone. Nominally, a guy by the name of Callahan has been overseeing the movement's agenda in New York City for the past few decades. Most follow his lead. You make it sound like it's most, but not you. Yeah, not me. If you're concerned about being well received in the city, you might need to go through Callahan, but if you're serious about the Anarch cause itself, he's not your guy. Callahan eats up fledglings like you and shits out self-preservation. His position as Baron is mighty shaky right now, not least due to the fact that he's backstabbed more than his share of allies. So he's doing what any old fart in a position of power would do. He's doubling down. Negotiations are out, intimidation's in, tightening ranks as a precaution against the Second Inquisition. She surprises you by hacking and spitting on the ground in disgust. If you spent some time with the Cams, that should sound very familiar to you. He's no better than Panhard and her cronies are at this point. No, you need to contact Torque, and wouldn't you know it, it's your lucky night, because I'm the lick to do it through. How's he different from Callahan? Motherfucker, you're really asking for it. Her anger flares up again. I'll pretend that was just a naive question and not a half-assed jab. Torque is a leader, a local baron who's overseeing a small domain, but doing a very good job of it. Callahan knows this, so he's giving him shit. Torque is taking it like a champ. He's smart like that. For one of us rebels, he's got the patience of a saint. Makes you think back to how things used to be way back when, if the stories are to be believed. Anyway, you want to meet him? I'm going to require a show of goodwill first. That's fair. What do you have in mind? She flashes you a mischievous half-smile. I appreciate your readiness, but I don't have the details just now. Ask for me at the bar when you're able. I'll leave something for you, and we'll take it from there. Now, come on. I gotta go. She walks you out of the bar, and you go your separate ways. Seems like there's nothing more to do than return here later and see if Mia can really help you. Contact Torque. Jezebel's child there. Sophie mentioned a gangrel neonate by the name of Tamaka, who's made herself a haven in Prospect Park. You make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, passing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch. You can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia as you picture the places as you've seen it countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it, pass through the northwest gate into Prospect Park. The park is in its usual maze of unkept foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air. as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's source fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of the trees, quick but evenly paced, most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill two birds with one stone. You head south, diving deeper into the less frequent section of the park. Passing a babbling stream, you make your way into the ravine. Home to some of the oldest trees in the park, it's the place to go when you want to get away from the crowd and enjoy some one-on-one time with nature, and that's during the day. At night, it's bound to be a gangrel's delight. Making your way through the brush, you come across a rocky crevice hidden behind a wobbly chain-link fence. You leap over the fence in a single bound, trying to land as quietly as kindredly possible. The crevice looks deep enough for you to think twice about jumping in. Instead, you peer into the darkness below, listening intently. In a split second, the air by the side of your head swirls like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back just as 5 finger-shaped razors cut through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. The clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic, all right, but he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resounds from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest. Stay out of it, Tam. I smelled him first. Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow, but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. You shouldn't have come in here, pretty boy. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie. Tamaka looks at you expectantly. Easy there, big shot. You made your point, okay? Confirm badass. Not looking for a fight. Tamaka tilts her head in a way that's barely noticeable, yet strangely expressive. She seemed disappointed. The man loosens up, his lips twisting in a wry smile. Clearly you just gave him the confidence boost he needed. Funny, you don't look like a pussy. You don't smell like one either. So why are you acting like one, huh? Well, guess what? You ain't getting off that easy, chicken shit. A fierce growl echoes across the valley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamaka walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hand on the side of his head, caressing his hair, tugging at his ear, as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm, yet oddly affectionate. It's okay, Ro. I'll handle it from here. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. Then he turns back towards you. Fine. They're not worth the effort anyway. Having said his piece, Ralph retreats into the shadows. Although, if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamaka turns to you once more. What do you want? Short story. I'm new here. I'm looking for a chance to leave my mark. Maybe shake things up a bit in the process. I could use your help. Why me? My sources claim you're capable. Are they wrong? No, I guess not. But if you're so well informed, you should know that I don't whore myself out for mercenary work. I'm not hiring you. I'm offering you my help, should you ever need it. And in time, perhaps also my friendship. Do I strike you as someone who needs a friend? I know what happened to Jezebel. Tough break. No wonder she got fed up with this town. Well, let's face it, she gave you the shaft. She abandoned you. I'm not going to. Her expression sours in an instant. You know nothing about her. About us. Tamaka looks to the side as if you hurt her feelings. From what you've seen so far, it's an oddly emotive reaction for her. Quick to realize it, she straightens up and turns her piercing gaze towards you. We have nothing more to talk about. Right then, if that's the way you feel. It is. And with that, you take your leave. You know better than to argue with a scorned gangrel. Still, you can't help but feel a tinge of regret. This could have been the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Eh. Well, she's the only one that was, like, really difficult to read. You come back to your haven after a long night out. Right before you open the door, you notice something strange. The sound of a television are coming from your apartment. Mad men, if you're not mistaken. You open the door and carefully peek in. A young, disheveled woman is curled up on your sofa. She has a blanket pulled up on top of her and seems very comfortable. Next to her lies an obviously unconscious, preppy woman. Ah, you're home. The woman reaches for the remote and puts Mad Men on pause. You went home, so I started without you. You know, Netflix and chill. Join me. There's space on the sofa. I brought us a snack. You enjoyed it last time. The woman points lazily at the unconscious girl. Oh, I forgot. My name's Adelaide. Adelaide Davis. I like you a lot. Help yourself and settle in. Oh, well. Let her down gently. Feeding opportunity. I don't really even know her. How long has it been since I ate? Well, you know what? That's our time, so why don't we decide tomorrow? This is Autopostrophe. You've been watching Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.